Yo dudes! Welcome to 3 easy, simple vegan dinners. These are dinners that I cook for my family once a week. Easy, quick, tasty, and very satisfying. Okay, first one is a perfect toasted falafel pita. First step, grab a wholemeal pita of choice. You can get gluten-free ones if you want to be gluten-free, but ideally try to get wholemeal. They're cheap, they're higher in fiber, and they will fill you up. Next step, get a store-bought falafel. Whatever type you like, just read the ingredients, make sure the ingredients are pretty clean. These are a nice sweet potato nugget that we sell, pretty nice. Just put them on either side of the toaster. I'm gonna put 4 in there. I'm gonna put 2 pitas up, let's do 2. In they go. Turn it up on high. That's our cooking done. So we're gonna have this ready in 3 minutes, I'd say. Next step, take hummus of choice, whatever store-bought one. We make a cool sweet beet hummus that I think goes great with it, or just a straight up happy hummus. Yeah, let's go beetroot. I think beetroot goes pretty cool. If you're wondering how to make your own hummus, check out the video here. Here's how to make hummus 3 ways. We've shot 2 videos, so hummus is really easy to make. And generally it'll last a week in the fridge. In terms of other ingredients for this, I have kimchi. So kimchi, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a sauerkraut that comes originally from Korea that has kind of a spicy, gingery flavor. If you want to make it yourself, again, here's a link to the video. Pretty straightforward to make. It'll bring nice acidity, nice kind of depth of flavor that you wouldn't otherwise get. There we are, toasted wholemeal pitas. In terms of your falafels won't stick out the end and your fingers will burn if you stick them in straight. So top tip, unplug your toaster, get something wooden. Now you're not going to get electrocuted, but still, I still find myself being ultra cautious. So take out your toasted falafel nuggets. These are sweet potato ones. Okay, grab your pita, chop the end off it. I think I'll chop them in half, make it easier to access. Chop it in half, pick your hummus of choice. I'm gonna go with maybe we'll do 1 beetroot and 1 normal. So in we go with a beetroot hummus. Just smear it in there. A little bit of kimchi. I'm gonna go with some greens. Here I have some basil, you can put whatever greens you like. And then take a falafel and mash it in there. And there you are, simple, very tasty. You're getting that lovely crunchy falafel, kimchi bringing acidity, hummus is just carrying the flavor and bringing moisture. Very tasty, delicious. If you are doing it for a lot of your family, use the grill instead of the toaster, but this is perfect for 1 or 2 people. There you are. Right, let's do our second one. Okay, next we're gonna make is an Asian style tofu or tempeh with a ginger sesame sauce and kind of with greens and wholemeal couscous. Simple, tasty, we'll have it done in 5 minutes. Okay, first step we're gonna put is our couscous on. We've taken wholemeal couscous. If you can, it's worthwhile seeking out. It'll just be higher in fiber and better for you. Into our couscous, we're gonna put a pinch of salt. I'm gonna put a little bit of turmeric just to make it go yellow. I have about ½ a teaspoon. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil. Again, leave the oil out if you want to, but it'll just make it a little bit tastier. Mix it all around. Give the couscous a little bang just to flatten it down. Take the boiling water and just cover it in boiling water. Put a lid on and leave it sit for 5 minutes. So while that's happening, we're gonna make our ginger sesame tofu or tempeh. So many people might be wondering, what's that tempeh stuff he's talking about? Tempeh is like a more grizzly, kind of meaty like tofu. We're gonna use 200 grams. So take a pan, let's put it on high heat. We have 1 tablespoon of oil, in it goes. While that's heating up, I'm gonna take a thumb-sized piece of ginger and let's chop it reasonably finely. 2 cloves of peeled garlic, I'm gonna just chop them finely also. In they go into the pan. Let's give them just a little move so they all get a little bit of oil on them. While that's happening, let's take our tofu or tempeh. Again, I said 200 grams. I'm gonna cut it in half so that it's thinner. So there's more surface area to absorb flavor. Let's chop them into strips. So in they go into the pan. Now here, just give them a little move initially just to kind of coat them in a small little bit of oil and then leave them. We want to make sure almost to seal them, to sear them so they start to brown on each side. Okay, so while that's happening, I'm going to make a quick dressing. I have David's favorite, tamari. You might be wondering where David is. He's actually disappeared into this bottle of tamari. So into a cup, put 3 tablespoons of tamari. Take a little bit of sesame oil, leave it out if you want to, but I think it's just going to add that extra little bit of flavor. We're going to put in 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. We're going to put in 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Beautiful. Give it a little bit of a mix. Let's give this a quick mix. Okay, let's add in some sesame seeds. Okay, the sesames are going to cook away, and as they cook, you see they're starting to pop. That means they're kind of ready to go. Okay, let's take our dressing and let's add it in. Oh, I love that sizzle. Great, in there quick and let's move it around. Just because we want all this tempeh to absorb that dressing, that lovely dressing. And as they start to dry out a little, take our cup that will still have a little bit of flavor in. I'm just gonna add a tiny little bit more water. This is gonna get the remaining of the sauce and it's just gonna create a little tiny bit of a sauciness. And don't worry, that will evaporate. Last and final step, we have 100 grams of baby spinach that we've washed. Just take it, might seem like a lot, pour it in, it's gonna just wilt down into nothing. Okay, great, you can see that's cooked nicely. They're all lovely and brown. The greens have really wilted down. Looks pretty sweet. A dish typically, if this really was Asian, would be served with rice, but rice is gonna take much longer than 5 minutes. So I'm gonna pour half this in. This dish will serve kind of 2 to 3 people, or one really hungry horse. Looks great. And last thing I'd always serve a dish like this with is a little bit of kimchi. And voila, there you are. Dish, dinner number 2, took 5 minutes to cook from scratch. Okay, last dish we're gonna make is a simple mushroom tomato pasta sauce that will take 8 minutes. First step, you'll need wholemeal spaghetti, whatever type you like. I have a pot of boiling water there. Take the spaghetti and break it. In it goes. It just kind of reduces the amount of fights with your children when you're trying to serve it. And they're trying to suck it all out and make a mess. So just push that all down under the water, put it on a high heat. This spaghetti takes 7 to 8 minutes to cook. In the pasta, I'm just gonna put a pinch of salt, tiny bit of oil to minimize stickage. In it goes. I'm gonna put a lid on just to speed it up, just leave room for evaporation. While that is happening, it is time to make our sauce. Get a pan, high heat, boom. Get a little bit of oil. We're gonna go 1 tablespoon, in it goes. While that's happening, let's prep our onion and garlic. We have 1 head of one red onion, 2 cloves of garlic, let's chop them finely. And into the pan. Grab a wooden spoon, give it a nice mix. And we're gonna take some mushrooms. I've about 150 grams. I'm using oyster mushrooms. Use shiitake, chestnut, portobello, whatever you're into. Just make sure, try not to wet them. In my experience, I find that makes by wetting them, you're reducing the absorbent powers. In they go into the pan. While the mushrooms are chopping away, take 1 courgette. Generally, when I'm cooking this for my kids, I'll chop it very fine. So they often kids can be afraid of green things. So I generally will chop it quite fine. While our mushrooms are nearly starting to kind of break down a little bit, time to get David's magic black sauce, tamari. Mushrooms are just going to absorb this and be a wonderful carrier flavor. I'm going to put in about 1.5 tablespoons. Just move it around so they all absorb a little bit. Let's put in half our courgette. Give it a little move. Try to get the courgette down the bottom of the pan. The heat source is coming from the bottom of the pan and we want them to start to brown slightly rather than boiling from the steam coming off them. I'm going to put in a pinch of salt to help the breakdown of those courgettes. Just while that's cooking away, I have some basil here, loosely chop it. Stalks, maybe just chop a little finer. I have a few cherry tomatoes, only 4. This is largely for decoration. If you have them, cool. If you don't worry. Okay, time to add in our passata. So we've 1 full jar of passata, 680 grams or 680 mil. In it goes. Make sure it's on high heat. Give it a good mix. Okay, so our tomato sauce is looking pretty good. I'm gonna take a tablespoon of maple syrup just to kind of balance the acidity of the tomatoes. So 1 tablespoon, in it goes. I've got 1 can of lentils. These are green lentils. I've just drained and rinsed them. Give it a good mix around. Let's just taste and adjust the seasoning on our pasta sauce. Very nice. Oh, lovely. Almost like a slight smoky taster. I'm going to put in about 1 teaspoon of salt. That is her pretty much complete. Let's drain and rinse our pasta. Been 7 minutes till she cooked, or he cooked. Okay, sauce is looking pretty good. With our pasta, just make sure some of it you'll see is slightly clumped together. Just use a fork there and give it a little mix around just to kind of break it all up. I've turned that off the heat. I'm gonna add in my basil. I'm gonna put in the cherry tomatoes. They'll just add a fresh, juicy bite to it. This dish will serve 4 people comfortably. a little bit of basil on top. Et voila, 3 simple dishes, each one. This fella took about 2 minutes, this one took 5 minutes, this one took 7 minutes. It's just to show how simple and healthy vegan cooking can be. I think my favorite is this fella here, but my family love this one and this is an all-time favorite. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and send in lots of love.